Hello Scorpio, this is your year ahead reading for 2022. Keep in mind these are general readings, so the messages may or may not resonate. But before we get started and get into the energy of 2022, I want to take a moment to close out 2021. So I'm going to pull a house card for you to see what your main focus was in 2021. And so you're getting the 9th house, which is the house of wisdom, evolution, broadening your horizons, either spiritually, academically, or a long personal journey in 2021. And now I'm going to pull you a card for what challenged you in 2021 and what supported you throughout 2021. So for what challenged you in 2021 were things that maybe you were sort of aware of in your subconscious mind, but that you struggled with giving yourself that permission to address. There was things that maybe you kind of subconsciously buried deep in you. This may be past beliefs, past trauma, old patterns, or patterns that you have that you thought were part of you knew was not a healthy mirror of what you truly wanted to intend to show up in the world as, but you just didn't have, or you felt that you didn't have the capacity to address it, and so you kind of just turned your eye on it here with the Two of Swords showing up in that way. And with a lot of these two cards showing up as swords, it really feels like all of this was kind of a mental, it was a lot of 2021 had to do with your mental space, your mental and emotional space, where it's interesting here seeing in the energy of what supported you in 2021 was this Eight of Swords card. So there was a time, or maybe various moments in 2021 where you felt trapped, where you felt like maybe you were stuck in continuing and repeating old habits and old cycles. And you kind of felt like you felt like you were stuck between a rock and a hard place, like there was nothing you can do. You felt like you've exhausted all of your options, when in reality, when you're looking at the person depicted in the Eight of Swords, there is a way out. It's just that this person has the blindfold on, and so they can't see that all they have to do is step forward. And so in a sense, this feeling of feeling stuck was actually a supportive energy for you, because sometimes when we're pushed to that extent is when we start to kind of get tired of our current situation, and it pushes us to go towards change. It pushes us to look deeper into what really matters. And maybe there's things that you were not open to doing in the past, right? But because you were pushed to get to this point, you were finally allowing yourself to open and broaden your horizons, broaden your scope of what you're, open to trying. And so by being in that energy, it actually supported you to push you into that growth that you really were seeking deep down within. So let's now pull some cards on what you're working to release in 2021 before entering into 2022. Okay, so we're getting 4 cards this time. Actually, I've been pulling 3. So we're getting grief, peace, judgment, and blame. And so the grief that kind of came in here for you in 2021 was because you knew that the change that you are being pushed to go through meant that you were going to lose some sort of comfort. You know, you were going to lose what you were used to, and that's always going to, you're going to, every time you're going into a new phase of your life, a new level of you, you know, entering a new version of you, there is going to be a bit of grief, in a grieving process, in your loss of the old you and what you were comfortable with being, whether it was difficult or not, if that makes sense. But through this grieving process, it was meant to help you release the blame, release the judgment that you were holding on to kind of get you towards peace. I'm going to just move this around right here. Yeah. So all this sort of had to happen here in 2021 to get you to this peaceful point within yourself. Because the reason why you were feeling this stuck energy, while yes, there was contribution from the external world, your external circumstances, at the end of the day, with these also being swords, it was that mental prison that you kind of created for yourself that you needed to push through this judgment, to push through this blame, to get into this peace. So I'm gonna pull another set of cards just to get another layer of what you're looking to release or working to release in 2021. So we're getting surrender to support and receiving love, surrender frustration, surrender defensiveness, and surrender your attachment to results. So for grief, I don't know if you guys watch Marvel at all or WandaVision, but for whatever reason, that quote from Vision is coming to mind where he says to Wanda, "What is grief if not love persevering?" So in those moments where you feel like you're grieving something, take a moment to shift your perspective on what that grief means. Could it be your love for something that that you're really, you know, that's why you're kind of going through that grief? And so if that's what's fueling that grief, or if that's the foundation of where that grief is coming from, then shift into the energy of understanding what that love is, what that love means to you, and how that love has kind of enriched and enhanced your experience in this world. And just having gratitude for being able to have experienced that love. You know, because there's that other quote, right? It's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. And so there are, as we move through stages in life, we either, you know, we either outgrow things, or there's just things that are not meant to stay forever in our lives. And that's not for us to while there is a grieving process in closing that connection or ending that cycle with either a person, a habit, a version of you, a pattern, etc., that's just the part of life, and that's the part of growth. And it's hard for us to kind of appreciate something like that sometimes until we lose it, if that makes sense. So in a way, instead of focusing on the loss, shift on what that experience gained for you, right? How was it a blessing for you, and how that blessing, whether, or that gift, while it may not be present in your life, it has now impacted you and changed you forever. And so it will, continue to play out and play a role in your life moving forward, right? Because now it is within you. You've integrated the lesson, and now that's what's going to help you continue on in your journey. For judgment, I feel like this judgment and blame was really, if you felt like there were moments in 2021 where you were kind of feeling this energy of judgment and blame, a part of it was frustration within yourself. A part of it was defensiveness within yourself. So if you were in situations where you felt this towards another, they could have been mirroring these things that you didn't know was deeply buried within yourself that you needed to address. And part of it had to deal with you wanting to control a certain situation, and because you were like working towards a specific outcome or result. And that disturbed your peace, which kind of caused you to be in that feeling of stuckness. And when you hit that wall where there was nothing that you can do to control the situation, nothing you can do to control the other person in the situation, where you finally began to realize, well, there are things that I can do for myself. And you shifted that outward looking into inward looking, to kind of deal with the judgment and the blame within you, to kind of deal with why you were feeling frustrated. Where was that frustration coming from? Why were you feeling like you had to be defensive? Why did you feel like you had to defend yourself? What were the roots of these feelings? And part of it was because of your attachment to, wanting a specific outcome. And when you finally kind of surrendered that and let that go, you open yourself up to that peace. So I'm now going to clear this table so that we can pull some cards for your energy for 2022. So I'm going to pull a house card to see what your focus is going to be in 2022. And I'll also pull a card for what will be supporting you and what will be challenging you in 2022. So Scorpio, you're getting the third house, which is the house of communication and learning. It is your potential to learn something new. I believe it feels like by looking at what your previous focus was in 2021, it was like that inner work, the expansion within, and now it's like in 2022. It's really learning how to be in that energy, that new version of you, testing out, the new you, if that makes sense. For what is challenging you here is the Tower. And I feel that it's because if you're, learning how to be this new version of you, you don't kind of become that new version of you overnight. There's going to be that need for you to tear things down from your old belief system so that you can build a better foundation and build a brand new tower of where you want to operate from. And that's where this learning comes in, where try not to solidify or put into stone or treat things with a certain level of permanence. Allow yourself to test and be kind of in the flow this year to see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, so that as you build this tower with your new belief system, your new values, your new vision for how you want to move forward and show up in the world, you're able to make adjustments along the way and kind of be more intentional and purposeful with how you build the tower, if that makes sense, okay? For what will be supporting you is the Eight of Wands. And so there's going to be a lot of energy, fast-moving energy happening within 2022 that may feel a little chaotic. It may feel a little overwhelming, but it may make you feel like you're being provoked to go, back into old patterns. But in reality, this is showing up as a supportive energy because these are opportunities for you to break this tower down. Okay, these are opportunities for you for things. I mean, you're gonna feel a little bit triggered, but in a way, how can we address the issue if it's not coming up to the surface? So these things, while it may feel a little heavy and overwhelming, it's meant to give you the opportunity to break this tower down so you can rebuild it in the way that you want, and be more intentional with how you want to live your life moving forward. So Scorpio, if this resonated, there is an extended where we take a deeper look into this energy and explore how they might influence aspects of your life and peek into the energy of every month of the year. So if you'd like to continue on to the extended, the link to access it is in the description box below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get notified when new readings are posted. All right, Scorpio, wishing you all the best and a prosperous new year.